What do you have on the line? What you got on the line? You ever cared about something so much you feel like your whole life depend on it? Only time I ever cried in college is one time, and it wasn't because I was hurt. It was after a football game. Quarter after quarter, we kept losing, we missing plays, we making the same mistakes. The gap kept opening, and we was on the losing end. I couldn't understand why I wasn't getting my chance. I was a true freshman. I done moved all the way across the country. I left everything. I left my family, I left my friends, I left comfort, I left everything behind. I had too much on the line. You know, I had been the quarterback in high school. I had been the go-to guy, the one everybody called on. The one who made the plays, who led the team. And now, I'm on the sideline, watching my destiny play out in everybody else's hands but mine. You know, that was the first time in years I sat on the bench and watched from the sidelines. It felt like my whole identity was just slipping away. You know, football for me always represented control. When I got that rock in my hand, I controlled how much forward my destiny was gonna go. You know, but that night, I felt like everything, like my future, my dream, felt like it was all in somebody else's hands. You know, and I was like a wild animal used to roaming a safari. Now I'm trapped behind glass, staring out at what used to be. And as tears started to fall, I realized something. I wasn't crying because I was lost. I wasn't crying because I lost. I was crying because I refused to get used to losing. I refused to accept that this was the end, that this was the path. And I wasn't like some of my teammates who just had seemed like they had got used to it. And this was before NIL. This was before transfer portals, all of that. Like if you didn't have freshman fee back then, you really wasn't gonna transfer D1 to D1 unless you was just a top 5-star recruit, 4-star recruit. Most of the time, if you transfer, you drop down. And many times people that drop down, they disappear. But yeah, I'm human. I thought about quitting. I felt betrayed. I had heard all these good things during the recruiting process. I had all these compliments. They flew me out. They spent all this money. They gave me a free scholarship. And all of that, not to get a chance. Yeah, I felt betrayed. More than betrayed, I felt helpless. You know, but there was only one voice that mattered. And that voice said, you got too much on the line to quit. You got too much on the line to quit. See, just like a fisherman out in the deep sea, far from shore, you can't turn back empty-handed. You cast your line out, you can feel the pull, and even if it take every ounce of strength, you reel it in. So from that day forward, oh no, I never cried again. I turned that pain into fuel. Every lift, every sprint, every rep, every drill. I never took another play for granted because I knew what it felt like to have too much on the line. So let me ask you, what do you have on the line? How are you going to handle it when everything feels out of your control? Are you going to fold or reel it in? Because when it's your destiny, you don't wait for somebody to hand it to you. You fight for it, you bleed for it, you reel it in. I'm Terrell Jackson. Peace.